What is up, everybody? It's the Golf on CBS preview show. Shane Bacon, Patrick McDonald. Patrick, a win for the internet, I'd say, on Sunday. Is that fair? Cam Young gets the victory in dominating fashion. I putted his brains out all week long. The putter has been hot this week, but I feel like this is a guy that the internet kind of beats the drum on. Like, he's almost new age Ricky Fowler, and the fact that he gets the win was fun to see for a lot of our buddies across the platform.
Here's a question for you, Shane. Is he now on the leaderboard on the bottom right of the screen? Has he upgraded or graduated to just Young? And Carson Young now has the full name. Has he earned that right as the Young on the PGA Tour?
What's the OWGR right now? Let's see. Where are we at now with the OWGR for Cameron Young? Is he close to top 10 or no?
He is number 21.
21, pretty good. Now let's see what Carson
Young, if I had to guess, I'm going to say 141. No idea.
What a guess. 150. Very
wow. I need to get out of the house.
Oh my God. We get chirped so much for our predictions and the fact that you got it that good. I think top 10, the Cameron's dropped. I think that's where I'm at. I think you got to dip into the top 10. But there's something fun in a weird way about watching a dominating Sunday performance. I mean, obviously he got there for the way he played the first 3 rounds, but I don't know about you. I'm watching it and I'm rooting for double-digit wins, right? I'm just like, let's get to 9. Let's get to 10. Was it Sunday when he bogeyed the first and made 5 in a row? I mean,
yeah,
it's like, you're like, dude, let's win this thing by 20. I feel that way with Scotty a lot of the time as well. But this was why I think people are so up on this guy all the time. Maybe even in a bit of a kind of poking fun fashion. But, when it's all grooving, the guy's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the improvement he's made on the greens, Shane. I mean, I was baffled. My big brain couldn't even comprehend it when I was looking at the PGA Tour statistic. Yeah, not to pump my own tires here, but coming into the week, he was number 10 on the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting. I think he moved up to number 6 now after the performance. He gained approximately, a math's a little off, 29 and a half strokes putting, if not more, on the week there at Sedgefield Country Club. And it's not like he's changed a whole lot. I think he's just been focusing on his setup, focusing on the fundamentals. And all of a sudden, this is a guy who was a bad putter, and now he's an elite putter all in the span of 1 year. It's pretty crazy to see that drastic of an improvement.
Yeah, 145th in strokes gained putting last year. What is he, 6th or 7th now on the PGA Tour? I mean, you think about it. I believe Akshay had a big bump up at one point with the putter. Obviously, Scotty this past year has improved dramatically in terms of the way he's rolled the rock. I'd like to know, and I mean, I don't know if this is like a show, a golf show where when guys make these massive jumps, I'd love for one of those instructor people on TV to go spend 20 minutes with them and actually go through the whole process of it, because, we've seen it. I mean, you think historically DJ with the wedges, then Rory with the wedges, right? And you see this big jump and all of a sudden kind of the part of the game we'd make fun of, like, how are you not better at this, becomes a weapon. Obviously, Scotty with the putter this year has been a big weapon, right? And I mean, it's been a big part of his success considering the way he hits it. Like, what are you doing different now? Is it practice? Is it prep? Is it feel? Is it mindset? Like, what's the big change for you to go from literally a person that can't make a big putt to one of the best, in the world at doing this one thing? I mean, it's pretty crazy to do that in 1 year.
Yeah, I think JT's another good example on the greens. He was brutal last year. I think bottom 11 on the PGA Tour now, a very good putter, having the best putting season of his career. And he talked about how he went to Xander Schauffele and kind of became more intentional about his practice routine and kind of reading the greens. And you see JT kind of tracing it with his eyes more often, which had never really been the case. I don't know if Cameron Young's going to kind of show us how the sausage is made quite like JT has, just based on his personality. Did you see his not celebration, but him walking off and the volunteer try to give him a high five and just completely ignored him? And the guy was like,
it's just so I think I said this a couple of years ago. One of my rules in golf, you know how you get on the first tee and you show the ball, like what your ball marking is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there should always be on the first tee as well. It's like, hey, I'm going to be a high five guy. I'm going to be a fist pump guy. I'm going to be a bro hug guy. So, and you tell everybody in the group that. So when the round ends, you don't get the awkward interaction where everybody's going for the wrong thing. But maybe it's just we need to announce this almost like it's our name. Like for the rest of my life, I'm a fist bump guy, and so no matter if you're a random person in this world or my best friend, you know exactly the approach I'm going to have in terms of saying hello and the salutations on the front end or the back end.
That's funny because at the Open Championship, third round, Scotty Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick, they're at the first tee. Scheffler goes handshake. Fitzpatrick goes nuts. Scheffler, pure domination, just alphas him, keeps the hand out there.
Makes him change.
It makes him change. And I think, honestly, from that point on, that tournament was over.
It's the little things. See, this is why this is the importance of being on the ground at times is you might see something incredibly awkward like the handshake versus the fist pump. But obviously the best, arguably the best golfer of all time produced some of the worst high fives that I've ever seen. I was doing Korn Ferry last week with James Nitties, who played, Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour and bounced back and forth. He was telling me a story on Sunday night about playing a mini tour event with Cam Young. Like Cam Young had just came out. And I'm like, was it like really impressive? And he goes, he beat it. Like he hit it really far, kind of sprayed it. He goes, it was impressive. Like the putting was solid. The short game was solid. The driving was great. But he goes, but I walked away. I wasn't exactly quote unquote blown away. Like this is going to be the next guy. And then he said he thinks he win on the mini tour the next week, win Mondays into the KFT, and then he wins like back-to-back weeks. And he said he's kind of looking back on it going, I might have been wrong on that one. This guy might be good. But, is this now Cam Young's a 5-win guy in his career, or is this just he had a good week and we'll see him pop up here and there? And, and this season hasn't been consistent. If you look at his 2025, we're giving him a lot of accolades. 5 top 10s, obviously gets the win. We've seen a little bit of good play, especially late. Played well at the U.S. Open. But it hadn't been like it's been this crazy consistent season. He just seems like the new age player that when it's all clicking, he's got a real good chance to go out there and at least contend.
I'll say this about Cam Young. I think early in the season, he was not 100%. Because I was there at the PGA Championship. I was watching Ludwig, and he kind of entered the frame. I'm like, dude, get out of here. I'm not concerned about you on the driving range right now. But he had his caddy, his coach, and 1 or 2 trainers working on his right wrist, taping it all up, taping up his entire right arm. And you saw him try to clench his fist, and he really couldn't do it that well. And he was very frustrated. And I noticed Wyndham Championship, no more tape on that wrist. So I figured he's much healthier now. And you kind of look ever since May, the iron play, which was brutal at the beginning of the year, has started to tick back. We know what he can do with the driver, obviously. And so I think he's healthy now. And the play is indicative of that. Almost won in Canada, qualified for the U.S. Open, almost won the U.S. Open, kind of, sort of ish. And then this win, too. So I applaud his ability to get himself in the mix on the variety of golf courses that he does, because he had 7 runner-up finishes before this.
Yeah.
And major championships, short courses like TPC Potomac, he was in the mix where Homa won also, and then here at Sedgefield Country Club. So I think if I had to go over 5 for his career, only 28, I think 5's pretty solid.
5's a lot. It's just, again, it's like you've got to win. You've got to win 2 by dominating. You might have to win 1 by somebody kind of playing bad on Sunday. It's just, you get to these numbers sometimes, and I think you forget how hard it is. Obviously, seeing through his career how hard it was for him to get a win. Maybe this makes it a little bit easier, but you get to that 5 number, man. You gotta play some damn good golf for the next few years to get there. You got to have 1 probably multi-win season as well to get to 5.
Yeah, and I think about what's Max at 6.
I think
Tony
6.
Finau's at 6. Fowler's at 5. English maybe 6 or 7.
Right.
I could see him definitely in that realm of player.
Yeah. And I think that's probably who he is, right? He's going to win more than once. He's probably going to win less than 7 and somewhere in the 3 to 6 range. But it was impressive. Again, just going out there and dominating. Jackson Koiven, another great week. These young kids are so good, man. We had Blades Brown on the KFT, needed a top 40 to get that special temporary, and he just was in the mix the whole week. Just incredibly impressive for these for the youngsters. I just don't get it. I just can't believe these guys can play this consistent golf at a professional level. Koiven, 3 events since the U.S. Open, T11, John Deere, T6 at the ISCO, T5 at the Wyndham. I mean, like he's an amateur. And I get why he's staying amateur. I mean, I think a lot of these guys want to play the Walker Cup, especially at Cypress Point. So I get the idea of staying amateur. But I do sometimes wonder, like watching a Blades Brown 18-year-old who's doing some good stuff on the Korn Ferry Tour and almost won in Texas as a 17-year-old. I do wonder, like NIL makes it a little easier to stay in college. And obviously some of the college events you want to play in at some of the golf courses probably helps as well. But when you're doing this stuff, I don't know how long the window is for a lot of these guys. And you sometimes wonder, like, how much are you leaving on the table by not turning pro?
Yeah, it is an interesting question. And we honestly kind of had it last year with Luke Clanton, right? He was finishing runner-up, it seemed like, at every big, or not big, but like full field tournament, RSM Classic, John Deere Classic, Rocket Classic. He was in all the classics, apparently.
Classic guy. He's a classic. He's a classic fellow.
He's a classic man.
And have you seen his season this year, Luke Clanton? To your point,
I've not. I honestly, that's a good point. What has he been doing?
199 on the FedEx Cup. One top 60 as a professional since he's turned pro. One top 60. It's funny, dude. Like, we talk so much, Patrick, about the amateurs, right? And how impressive they are now, and obviously Dunlap. But it does feel like there's that dip back, right? I mean, even Ludwig's going through it right now. It feels like that season for him where, it's like you're this amateur player, the hype's there, you go out there and get it, you're so good. And then it almost feels like that sophomore or junior year regression once you turns pro. And we've kind of seen it from all of the big names. I mean, it goes back to our conversation about who's the next young guy that's going to be dominant. It feels like it's been a while since we've had that guy.
That's a good point. And you would think it's almost the opposite, where they're seeing these golf courses for a second time, right? Like Ludwig's going around these golf courses for the second time, and it's like, okay, you should know what to expect, but it's kind of been the opposite. I mean, you got to give these guys a little bit of grace, just the difference between
for sure
having a college team and not really having any responsibilities. It's like you're playing with house money when you're on the PGA Tour. It's like, oh my God, this is so much fun. There's no real pressure here.
Yeah.
And now it's
shiny object.
Yeah. And now it's like, oh, okay, now my livelihood depends on how I play golf. That's a big internal battle that these guys are facing, and one that comes really fast, I feel like.
Another guy just worth pointing out, Matt Fitzpatrick, another top 10. I mean, we talked about the early parts of his season, basically the last couple of seasons. He's obviously found it. He's obviously been playing some incredibly consistent golf. We are just like watching a dude that has played his way, in my opinion, onto the Ryder Cup team for Europe, who I don't think he was on anybody's radar. If you go watch you and I talking about the Ryder Cup 2-3 months ago, Fitzpatrick wasn't even in the conversation. Like, we didn't even bring his name up. Shout out to him for whatever he's found. The golf game has been incredible. And we're kind of looking at like 2022, 2023 Fitzpatrick again,
He's been so good. And like you said, kind of really ever since the PGA Championship, he found something in his game. And it feels like a lot of these Europeans, granted, it might just be the Scottish Open and the Open, are kind of making a run towards the end of the year. A lot of big events for them with the Irish Open coming up, the BMW PGA Championship as well after the FedEx Cup playoffs. But it felt like a lot of them had some pretty good European summers, with Justin Rose kind of making a bit of a resurgence there after a really bad stretch that we've talked about since the Masters. Hovland showed a little bit. Even Ludwig showed a little bit. So it seems like the Europeans, at the beginning of the year, Shane, they were winning all the PGA Tour events.
Yep.
And then after, I don't know, like Rory's Masters, they stopped winning, and now they're kind of coming back to that form. So it's cool to see them kind of rise to the occasion.
Speaking of that, let's get into the Little Ryder Cup conversation because, we're getting close to it. I feel like every week somebody does something like Cam Young just did, and then they put themselves in the conversation as well. We've checked in on this a few times in terms of looking at the team. I think you and I are probably going to firmly agree on 8 easily that are on the American side: Scotty, Xander, Bryson, Spawn, Henley, English, JT, Morikawa. Is that fair?
Yep, they're all on.
Think they're on. I still have Keegan on the team. Just missed the cut, but I think Keegan's on the team, which makes 9. Do you agree or no?
I have Keegan on the team, but
okay.
I am concerned about his status, Shane, just given the recent developments with the younger American teams. but I will be pretty upset if if he bows out for some vanilla ass NPC player who brings no juice to this competition. I'll be pretty upset.
It's a good point. I mean, I think that's something we don't talk enough about with Keegan. Is it's not just Keegan playing solid golf and being the captain and all that stuff. I mean, Keegan's going to bring energy. He's going to be into this. Like this is his Super Bowl. I mean, he looks at the Ryder Cup as an event he obviously loves, and it's one that's kind of broke his heart, in his career. And I feel like Keegan is a guy that when he's playing, you look back at the highlights with Phil and in his prime, it's like this was the team. This was the energy squad, for the American side on home soil. That matters. That matters more than just being a good player, being one of the top 10 American players. So if you're looking at that group, we've got Keegan on there. That's 9, which means there's 3 spots right now. And my 3 names is going to come from this list. Tell me if there's somebody I'm missing here. Okay. Spieth, Griffin, Cantlay, Cam Young, Burns, Wyndham Clark, Goddard. Is anybody not on that list that you think at least has an opportunity to potentially make this squad?
I think we're simpatico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of those names, who do you have right now?
Okay. So of those names I have, and I'm looking at this as I always think about partnerships when I'm thinking about making a team. So I have Cameron Young on my team. Like I said, I think he's healthy again, which matters a lot. I think he is a great partner for Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
And so he is on the team. I have Chris Goddard up on the team.
Wow.
I always lean Young. He's 26. Give him the opportunity. And I think it's really important to note, Shane, we are not asking these captain's picks to be the number 1 guy, to be a top 5 guy on the team. We have that taken care of already. We just need you to contribute to a few matches. I think Goddard's there. Josh in the chat, he's talking about NPC vanilla ass guys. Cameron Young, I understand he falls under that category, but
I like when the producer chirps you and nobody else knows that he's chirping you. And then you're pointing if you're getting chirped. It's great.
I see all the comments from
do.
Josh.
So you're going. I mean, now again, I do think it's worth pointing out that you a few moments ago said you don't want vanilla ass guys on the team, and you picked 2 dudes that I wouldn't exactly say are the loudest of people in a golf tournament. Kind of keep to themselves. Now their golf game's loud. They both hit it really hard and really far, and that helps around Bethpage Black. But I mean, you've picked those 2 names, which means that your team you're leaving off Spieth, you're leaving off a Cantlay.
Whoa! I've one more pick. Pick. Yeah. And so to further contradict myself, Patrick Cantlay has to be on this Ryder Cup team, in my opinion.
You are just bringing energy to this squad with your 3 picks.
100% has to be on this team. It would be malpractice, borderline irresponsible if Patrick Cantlay is not on this team.
Hey, Josh, so will you throw up Cantlay's season when you get a second? I just want to look at it.
And per the vanilla comment, that was if Keegan Bradley replaces himself with a vanilla character.
That's fair. That's actually a very fair point.
And I am concerned that's going to happen with one Ben Griffin. But Keegan Bradley is on my team.
Okay. I mean, Ben Griffin's game has been loud this year. I mean, I think that's the one thing you can say. And I've gone back to this point a few times. Ben Griffin, probably Keegan light when you think about the way he plays golf and the season he's had. And Keegan's going to go back to the moment he was left off the team that was famously shown, obviously, on Full Swing, the whole phone call and all that stuff. But so no Spieth for you, which right now is probably the call. I mean, it's a bummer. I think Spieth brings energy. I think Spieth gets the fans riled up. I think Spieth is still one of the most popular golfers in the world. As we take a look here at Cantlay's season, missed the cut at the Open, missed the cut at the U.S. Open. We went over his majors, missed the cut at the PGA, T12 at Memorial, which I'd say probably is a fair comp to what we might see at Bethpage. Obviously, maybe a little easier. He's played well at the PGA Tour events. He's just played terrible at the big events. And that's pretty much what we said about Cantlay. But there's sneaky consistency in this season outside of the majors, which I guess if you're going to make an argument for Cantlay, that's probably what you say.
Yeah, if you look at the actual numbers, last 6 months, he's borderline top 10 in total strokes gained. He's a top 5 iron player in the world, mind you. And then you add in he's really good in these team settings. Like you think about big moments, Rory and Cantlay on 18, Siwoo Kim and Cantlay on 18 at Royal Montreal. This is a guy who has actually elevated his play. I know he doesn't do it in major championships, but he does it in this competition, which I don't think can be said for everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's Cantlay is obviously a placeholder on this team. I mean, he's got a partner already that makes a lot of sense, and they like each other and they play really solid golf in these team events together. And I think if you're an American captain, vice captain, guy in the background that matters, that kind of has the ear of Keegan or whoever, if you're going to follow a European model for your Ryder Cup team, then I think at times you do go with people that seem to be extremely comfortable in this environment. Because if you look at the European side, that's kind of what they've done, right, to success. It's used guys that are playing solid golf, if they're not playing great golf, but seem to play well at Ryder Cups, and that is Patrick Cantlay. I mean, that's who he's been in his career.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup is not an award for playing well that season. You got to put together a team who you think is going to perform in a chaotic environment, right? Just because you won one time on the PGA Tour and you might be borderline, that doesn't mean you're going to play well in a Ryder Cup. And so I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect there when people are putting together their teams. And Cantlay, it's not like he's even had that bad of a season. He's 23rd in the FedEx Cup right now. Like he's probably going to make the Tour Championship too. So I know there's been some chatter out there. I can't imagine him not being on this team.
I mean, he's not on my team right now, but I mean, you make an argument that makes me want to put him on there. I mean, honestly, like you talking about this and throwing some of the stats out and looking at his season, it's like you probably should put him on. I mean, outside of a Spieth, who I would root for Spieth simply for the story and to watch him play and to get that nostalgic pairing. If you throw it out there with JT, like it's been fun. It hadn't been as much fun lately. It was definitely not that much fun in Paris. But I mean, you look at a Jordan Spieth and you see a player that, again, is going to get fans riled up. And if he plays well, the energy comes with that. And I mean, obviously, if you play bad and you get smoked, then Keegan and the crew kind of looks like an idiot. I have Cam Young on my team as well. I think Cam Young makes a lot of sense. I think if Goddard plays another solid week or two, I think it'd be silly to leave him off. Again, I just think if somebody's playing this well, it hurts your team not to put him on there, especially when you're looking at some of these other names. And I had Griffin on there, but I think I might replace him with what you said after you've kind of pointed out all the Cantlay facts. Is again, this is a Ryder Cup match play event. This is not anything else. And Patrick Cantlay has proven time and time again that he does extremely well in this environment, and he seems to embrace it.
Exactly. And for your Jordan Spieth JT point, JT is going to find a new partner in Bryson DeChambeau this year.
You think so?
And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. They're going to send him off first. They're going to ignite the crowd. Because, Shane, how many players do you think on this team can handle the combination of the Ryder Cup circus and the Bryson DeChambeau circus on this U.S. team? And you look at their skill sets, very complementary. JT can't drive the ball. That's what Bryson does best. Bryson can't hit an iron. That's what JT does best.
Yep.
Both can putt pretty well. And I see those two going out every single time.
Okay. I like that. I don't hate throwing Spawn with Bryson either, but I do think, again, to your point on handling the situation, especially maybe in day one, home environment will maybe help some of these younger players or more inexperienced players probably handle a situation like Bryson. If it was across the pond, I would say you got to put a veteran with DeChambeau when you're doing this, especially early in the week. But I like that a little bit. I like the idea of throwing JT and Bryson and have kind of like this little marquee fan favorite pairing to go out there against some Europeans. Speaking of the Europeans, I have a major question I want to ask you here.
Okay.
Is Sepp Straka on this team?
Oh, come on, Shane.
He's dropping down the rankings, man. I'm telling you, had not played great golf as of late. I mean, the European team is a little bit of an old boys club as well. When you look at it, and I just am wondering if Sepp is on this team. That's my question.
Sepp's kind of had the Patrick Cantlay season, pretty much, but instead of like a top 10 finish at a signature event, he's won it, right? Because his major season was putrid. What was it? 3 missed cuts and then T52 at the Open.
Yeah, missed the cut at Augusta, 78 in round one. Coming in obviously with a lot of kind of sleeper hype, if you will. Missed the cut at the PGA, played bad in the opening round. There 78 in the opening round of the U.S. Open as well. Just got off to these awful starts, almost like Justin Thomas, like in the Thursday rounds. And as you said, didn't break 70 at the Open. The only made cut he had at that major championship.
Yeah, Sepp Straka is 100% on this team.
We just 100%.
We just talked about how the Europeans, they never overreact. They know they have their guys. They're steady. He's been there before.
Just saying. I'm just saying if he drops out of the auto with some of these other names there, I'm very interested. So my European team right now, and I have Sepp on it for argument's sake. Rory, Rahm, Bobby Mack, Fleetwood, Hatton, Lowry, Sepp, Ludwig, Hovland, Fitzpatrick.
Yep. So
we have 2 spots left.
Yes.
I think early in the year, Justin Rose was an auto pick there. You and I've talked about Rose. Found a little bit of form as of late after completely struggling, but big question mark for me is Justin Rose. Is he going to be on the team? One last kind of gasp for Rose, and does Donald pick him, all that stuff? Or do you go down the Rasmus hole? I mean, a couple of those names there as well. Niergaard, Peterson, or Højgaard. Obviously, Dietrich's there. Matt Wallace is there. I put Sergio on my list with a question mark just for fun, even though Sergio said he wouldn't even accept being picked. What was that? After, I think, the PGA. Who's your 2 to fill out that team?
We're running it back, Shane. We are going with the same 12 from Rome. We're going with Justin Rose, and we're going with Nicolai Højgaard. Okay. There are 2 players who could throw a wrinkle into this plan, though. And I think one is very live, with that being Aaron Rai. I think he could have a very good FedEx Cup playoffs, and he could knock Nicolai out of the final spot, because both the Højgaards missed the FedEx Cup playoffs. Huge in my opinion. And so I think Rose is on the team. Need that veteran presence there in Bethpage. And I think that final spot, if I'm Luke Donald right now, I'm like, Nicolai Højgaard's playing as well as anyone else kind of trying to make that spot right now. Let's just throw him back in there. But Aaron Rai is my 13th man, potentially 12th man.
Interesting. I like that. I kind of want to go Højgaard boys is kind of where I'm thinking. Unless Rose makes a lot of noise in the next couple of weeks. I'm with you. I think they pick Rose. If I'm Europe, I'm really concerned with the last 4 names. I just, again, what am I going to get out of Ludwig? What am I going to get out of Sepp? What am I going to get out of Victor Hovland right now?
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick, I think, is a guy that's probably going to play 5 sessions at this point, considering the way he's playing. I will say that about Europe is I don't want to bring up, Brookline and Boston and all that stuff, but I feel like the top 6, 7, 8 names here are going to play a ton of golf those first, 2 days. Like, they're just going to have to roll them out a lot. And I think you could see Europe maybe, I mean, they're not going to not play guys like that could happen in the 99, but I think you could seriously look at this and go 1 session for a couple of these question marks.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And one name you did not mention, but one name I think Luke Donald would like to see show a little bit of form here is Shane Lowry. He has not been great really ever since coming up short to Straka there in Philly. And I mean, with how he's kind of been on the golf course this summer, if there's one guy, the New York crowd, if they want to circle someone and really get under his skin, it's Shane Lowry.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and I'll be interested too. I mean, obviously we'll talk plenty of Ryder Cup as we get closer to it, but I'll be very interested if it's Rory Lowry or if you go Rory Fitzpatrick, because obviously both of those have worked in different instances. But I almost feel like you got to go Rory Fitzpatrick as maybe your like A1 team for the week, and that's kind of who you roll out.
Yeah, it was. I think Rory had some Fleetwood action in there too in Rome.
Sounds like you're like talking about like a summer concert session or something there.
Yeah,
Fleetwood up on the stage.
He was in the pit. Rory was in the pit at the Fleetwood concert. I think Rahm and Hatton were great. You get the Vikings together with Ludwig and Victor, and I think
it's pretty good.
I think I don't know who they'll pair Rory with. He could go with anyone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be fired up to play with anybody. But listen, Rory's not the concern. That's for sure. I mean, that's not the guy they're concerned about. If you had to pick a winner right now, who do you think wins right now as we sit 2 months out?
I'm going with the U.S. right now.
Okay.
2 months out.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm still the betting favorite, right?
Yeah, I think
Slight
Europe
favorite
is like plus 150.
Okay.
So,
I think I'm gonna go Europe. I had this conversation the other day in Florida. I do think Europe, as you said, got off to such a hot start this season. Everybody, myself included, was saying this is going to be it. The Americans have no chance. At some point, it's got to happen where an away team wins it. And it feels like if there was ever a time for it to happen, it would be the mix of everything that's going on here, right? It's the European have a very strong team, a competent captain that really, really knows what they're doing, people in the background that know what they're doing on a golf course that, when you kind of go side by side with these teams, there's not an enormous advantage, I don't think, on the American side versus what you're going to get for the Europeans, right? I mean, Americans might have a couple of guys that are longer than maybe the average guys on the European squad, but I don't think it's that big of a difference to make that, to really matter. I'm going to go Europe. I just think I'll stick with them until something crazy happens.
Yeah, I think inside the ropes, U.S. has a slight edge. Outside the ropes, Europe has a significant edge.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Everything that's going on with the U.S. leadership, and then Europe, like Luke Donald's feet up, kicking back. Like, all right, I might have to make a couple picks here. I've already done this.
So we're getting to the playoffs. Obviously, playoffs kick off this week. Top 70 in, outside of 70 out. Anybody that was like massively disappointing for you this year that's not making the playoffs that you just kind of were looking at the list, kind of shaking your head at?
I would say the Højgaard twins, which we just talked about, of course. I think the world of Rasmus just, I would say, like top 10 action on the PGA Tour with his swing. So good, silky smooth, and coming off a great DP World Tour season where he secured his card. I honestly expected a lot more out of him. And then I've talked about him a lot, Davis Thompson, especially the way it unfolded for him.
Yeah, Mr. 71.
Made the long putt late and then 3-putted the 72nd hole, I believe, to miss out. And I believe he was a Tour Championship guy last year also. And to miss it completely is a bit of a bummer. What about you?
I was surprised to see Adam Scott 90th. I know probably most of the oxygen was taken up around Oakmont and talking about him at the U.S. Open. Not a top 10 this season for Adam Scott is a bit shocking and kind of wild. Couple of top 20s at majors, I think, helps the story of Adam Scott in his year. But, I think sometimes guys just sneak up on you that aren't having good years. And again, you might have talked about him at Augusta, or maybe they played well at the PGA or the U.S. Open, and you feel like you were having more conversations about him than you were. But I was just, again, it's like, are we done here? Or can we still play? Where are we at with Adam Scott? I think is he 45 now, years old, or is it like around 45? Right. It's like, it's where are we with this guy? Is kind of my question there. And when you have this kind of year, throwing up Adam Scott's year right now, it's just a lot of mediocre finishes, a lot of 35ths, a lot of 45ths, things like that. Just kind of surprising. He's just been so consistent in his career. Not necessarily winning consistent, but just consistent in the finishes, right? Like pops up at Riv, pops up at, Augusta, pops up at a random U.S. Open. It just feels like that's so I was a bit just surprised to see that. And then the other one was Sahith. And I know he was battling some injuries, but he's one of my favorite guys on tour. One of my favorite guys to watch when he's playing well, because it's a little kind of Spieth light, right, with the way he hits it. And then the short game. I know he's been dealing with some injuries, missed his last 4 cuts of the year, including the 3M and the Wyndham. But I just like the PGA Tour golf better when Sahith's involved, and just not a very good season for our guy.
Especially when you think about he finished 3rd in the Tour Championship last year, was on the President's Cup team too. And even before the injury, I don't know how long it dates back. Obviously took some time off there in the summer. He had one individual top 20, a T17 at the Genesis Invitational. So yeah, very, very just brutal season for him.
Bubble Watch top 50 at FedEx St. Jude this week. I think some names to just keep an eye on. Obviously, Xander is 42nd. We'll get to picks and stuff later in the show. Spieth 48, I think, is probably the biggest name on the bubble. You got Wyndham Clark at 49 and Minwoo at 50. Just on the outside looking in, JT, Kurt Kitayama, and then you mentioned Aaron Rai, 55th right there. But I'd say of that group, in terms of massive needs, I think it's Spieth because of Ryder Cup stuff.
Yeah, I think here's a question for you. If Spieth plays his way into the Tour Championship, You think he gets the nod from Bradley?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think if Spieth does anything good over the next 4 weeks, I think he gets the nod. Like
Okay.
if he has a top 10 somewhere, I just think they need something, right? We just have not seen much from Jordan Spieth. It's weird. The discourse around Jordan Spieth, and tell me if I'm wrong here. Doesn't it feel like the discourse is better than the game? Like, oh, he's improving here. Oh, it looks better here. Oh, look at, I mean, obviously the ball striking and the iron play and all that stuff. Like, I feel like I hear that a lot. And then you watch it and it's just not as good as the conversation is.
It is so much garbage time, good golf from Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
I would say. Like,
it's like Lance Stevenson of golf,
Yeah. Like I was pumped to see him on the first or second page of the leaderboard after round 1 last week, because it was like, okay, this is the first time he's maybe done this all year where he's actually gotten off to a good start. He's going to play meaningful golf on Friday, and then Friday happens, like, okay, he shoots even par, he's out of this tournament already.
Yep.
I think it's been a lot of garbage time good golf for Spieth. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it's just, again, I mean, we've talked a lot about Jordan. We did it with our grades in the majors, but it's just never competitive, right? I mean, it's never opening. To your point about last week, it's not like he opens with 65 somewhere. The lone solid majors, Augusta, where, as you mentioned during the grades, he can kind of roll out of bed and finish top 15, right? I mean, that's just normal for him. It's not anything sexy. Like, he didn't finish third, he didn't finish fifth. And a lot of the great finishes for him were early in the season, or were kind of the events with not all the names in there. I mean, CJ Cup, right? He finishes fourth. You see right there. Played solid at the Memorial, but it's not like it was a top 5. And then you got to go all the way back to Phoenix for a top 5. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the game, man. I love watching Jordan play for all the reasons I mentioned with Sahith. And you look at this year and it's like pretty sleepy and uninteresting.
Yeah. And even those top 5 finishes, Phoenix Open, Dietrich won by a touchdown.
Yeah.
Up Byron Nelson, I think he finished like 15 strokes behind Scotty Scheffler in fourth place.
Yeah.
And that included a garbage time final round 62 or whatever it was at the time. The only time I saw him hit like meaningful shots over the weekend was actually at the Memorial. But then, like, Scotty had his patented Saturday surge late and Spieth went in the other direction. And then you're going into Sunday and you're like, okay, this guy's half a dozen behind all of a sudden, when he was actually sort of in the mix there. So he said at the Wyndham Championship, I thought it was pretty interesting how he needs an off season. He's like, I'm one off season away from being all the way back. That's what he said before the tournament. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we're now on 3 years since his last win. I go back to this a lot, but what Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas did for the PGA Tour, and just how much non-factors it feels like they are in the big events these days, is just wild. It just feels like they are. If you and I were going to draft 20 guys, every year to have the best major seasons or to win 3 events, like, those guys aren't getting drafted, just right now. At least Jordan did, and JT might sneak in at 20th, just because we might get hot somewhere, figure out the drive or whatever the case may be. But it's just, again, like, it was a long time ago when they were dominant. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but it was a very, very long time ago. And I'd like to see Jordan maybe, like, just have a couple good weeks, have a couple of consistent top 10s, and maybe that'll do it and get you on the team. Producer Josh, by the way, pointing out, we were talking about Adam Scott, first year of his career without a top 5, which is a bit wild, considering how long he's been doing this. No, I mean, not a top 10 and not a top 5 for Adam Scott. Anything else in terms of the bubble? I mean, I'm just kind of taking a look at the top 50, and then we'll start to think about cutting down from there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a few guys I'd like to see in those signature events next year, just because, as we know, the top 50, you get into the signature events in 2026. And I see a lot of, I would say, the more exciting players, like a Jake Knapp, Siwoo Kim. It'd be great for Akshay to get in there too. And I think they all need, like, pretty much a top 5 to secure it, right? That's destiny is in their own hands. They finish inside the top 5, they'll be good to go. But those are kind of the guys I'm looking at. Minwoo too, obviously, as well. But there's a few guys on the other side, Shane, with Ricky and Big Tone, who need big weeks themselves.
Do you think there should be more volatility in these kind of events? Like, I mean, one guy moved into the top 70. What was that? Chris Kirk played his way into the top 70. Does it need to be more volatile at the end of the season and in the playoffs, or do you think the season should speak for itself? And if you play great, a couple of weeks, to finish, you could maybe move a little bit.
Rick Gaiman had this idea on Twitter, which I kind of liked, where he said once the playoffs begin, you wipe away all the points. And if you want volatility, that's your way to do it. I think you think about other sports, and like if the Chiefs get knocked out first round, they're knocked out first round. Like just because you're almost undefeated in the regular season doesn't mean you automatically get to go to the Super Bowl. So yeah. I think that's an interesting way to look at it. I think the volatility, it's just weird this year with the Tour Championship, like not meaning anything almost, like qualifying wise. And so I feel like this week is the big week. And I think we're lucky to actually have some marquee names on that bubble. So I'm hoping for volatility. So yeah, to answer your question, I just went every which way. I walked all the way around that question, Shane. I'm now on the back end of it. To answer your question, yes, I wish there was more volatility.
Well, I mean, and I think sometimes we can forget, like the PGA Tour can forget about this as well. There are sports where the championship game is not the most interesting part of the season. Like I specifically think about March Madness, right? Mm-hmm. The last game is not that interesting for 95% of consumers. But the first weekend is the most interesting because there's so much happening. All these games are being played. People's colleges are in the tournament. They're trying to knock people off. Cinderella's brackets, all these things. And the fact that last week and this week could, in theory, be the most interesting is also okay, right? That's okay if you promote it the correct way. And I think sometimes it's been this, how do we make the final event the biggest deal? And the fact is the final event's not that interesting. The golf course is fine. It's not the most interesting golf course they play. It's hotter than hell in Atlanta. Guys are exhausted, end of the season, 30 names. Staggered start didn't help. But now the fact that, now you're playing for a boatload of money, they're always playing for a boatload of money. That's great. But like, if you promote this week as the most interesting week, then I think you could maybe get a little bit more juice out of this specific tournament.
Yeah, and one thing I would love to see, the math would have to shake out perfectly. It's 1 in a billion chance, but maybe they can fudge the FedEx Cup numbers moving forward, is on these cutoff tournaments, I'd love to see playoffs. Like, just not like, okay, if this guy makes a double bogey and this guy makes a birdie, he's in the next one. It's like, okay, these guys are tied. These 4 guys are tied for 1 spot going into the BMW Championship playoff. Like that's something that adds a lot of juice, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you can promote. Like it's an easy thing to promote and sell. And, at the end of the Wyndham, you have, instead of having one guy in and one guy out, you have guys make this final 5 or final 6, for 1 spot, and you go have a playoff on the back end. I mean, it's almost like when the Olympics, we had those bronze medal playoffs. Still good TV. Was still interesting, was still something to play for, even if it wasn't for first place. But yeah, I mean, listen, all we like to do as golf people, especially in the media, is just come up with ideas that are never going to happen. Yeah. That's like one of the true keys for young people out there. One of the true keys to media success, I guess we'll call it, is just always throwing out ideas that probably don't make any sense in logistics. So yeah, that's that. We got Justin Ray coming up in just a bit. We're going to jump into some stats with him, and a lot of that's going to be around Scotty. No Rory this week, right? He's out?
No Rory this week. To your point, we could have gone like 71 through 75 playoff for Rory spot.
Ooh, see?
Just make it an even 70.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Throw the balls down and let's get after it. But plenty more to come. All right, it is time, 5 minutes with our guy, Justin Ray. Jay Ray, appreciate you taking a couple of minutes with us on this fine Tuesday. Diving into some numbers, and we were joking before we got going. It feels like every week we talk about Scotty because we should talk about Scotty in terms of statistics.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the more you dig, the more things pop up that are historic or comparisons to Tiger seasons. And one of the ones I found is that he leads the PGA Tour, and this was going to seem obvious, but in birdie to bogey ratio this season. But just how many he's making per drop shot is pretty remarkable. 2.4 birdies are better for every bogey or worse this season. Far and away best on the PGA Tour this year. Over the last 40 years, there are only 4 players who have had better such seasons. Scotty last season, 2.83. Xander last season, 2.62, which that was the surprising one. And maybe he's a little bit historically overlooked as we get further away from last season. And then 2 Tiger years, 2000 and 2002. So only 4 seasons in the last 40 years better than what Scotty's doing in terms of making birdies or eagles relative to bogeys or worse.
Dang. Yeah, Shane and I have talked about Xander and how, like, I don't know, a couple decades from now, are we going to look back at 24 and be like, how did he win 2 majors during the Scheffler reign?
Reign, Rory reign, like Rory playing incredibly consistent golf. Yeah. It's almost going to, like, I mean, it's obviously not the same comp, but O'Meara in 98, you're like, oh, he won 2 majors, like right after Tiger burst on the scene. That was interesting.
Or maybe even Ernie didn't win this year, but Ernie Hills played incredible golf in 2000, where he's up on all the, best strokes gained seasons in the majors without a win. He's up there pretty much however you slice it. So maybe that's another comparison we make down the road.
As if one Scotty stat wasn't enough, J. Ray, I believe you have 2 for us.
Yeah, so I like the metric strokes gained ball striking. It's basically strokes gained tee to green, which you hear more about, but it removes the shots around the green. So it's just off the tee and approach play. It's really the more accurate measurement of how a player is doing with full swings. In the last 4 seasons, Scotty has 66 rounds where he gained at least 3 strokes on the field with his ball striking. 23 more than any other player. Second on that list is Corey Connors with 43 such rounds.
Of course it is. Yep.
Yeah. Rory's third. So, but Corey playing more rounds and getting the opportunity on that quantity list to go up. Last 4 years, Scotty's done that 25.2% of his rounds played on the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour average is 5%. So he's 5 times more likely to gain 3 strokes with his ball striking on the field as the average PGA Tour player.
J. Ray, is it? I know there's probably a balance in your space of not always doing the Tiger comps, because I mean I know you'll throw them out there, and I know they'll also go viral, right? It's like if Scotty finishes number 1 every week for the next 10 years, he still won't catch Scotty. But when you dive into the Scotty numbers, are you shocked sometimes seeing how close a lot of this was to kind of prime Tiger?
I think the thing, because I've been doing this for so long now, is that, I'm never trying to extract a Tiger note. It just ends up being the case whenever somebody does something incredible. It just inherently leans towards, and Tiger did this 6 times. There's always that kind of element of it. But over the last 15, 20 years or so since I've been really doing this, there's never been anybody really close to those big peak Tiger seasons. And this is when they say this is the closest we've seen to that from a performance standpoint, it truly is. It's the closest we've had, since Tiger's halcyon peak days of having somebody who's been this dominant, especially with their ball striking.
You got a note here on birdies from the fairway. Is this looking at this week as we get into the playoffs?
I think so. And it's about a player that one of the best players in the world, going to be on the U.S. Ryder Cup team, I imagine. But it was a statistic that I was a little surprised that he was leading. Birdie or better percentage from the fairway. The highest rate on the PGA Tour this season, Justin Thomas, 28.3%. I thought that was interesting because he's not particularly the most accurate driver throughout his career.
That's right. He did hit a lot of fairways.
161st in driving accuracy. But when he does hit the fairway, he makes birdie or better more than any player on the PGA Tour. So that got me thinking, kind of digging a little bit throughout his career. He's made 257 starts on the PGA Tour. He is ranked in the top 10 in the field in driving accuracy 8 times. Just 8 times in the top 10, which is pretty incredible considering how good he is when he does put it in the middle of the fairway. His finishes in those tournaments, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 5th, 14th. So he's been in contention virtually every time he's been, one of the better players in the field in terms of driving accuracy. I just thought it was an interesting pairing of facts that came together to tell an interesting story about a guy.
Patrick, is that like if you're Keegan Bradley and you hear this stat from J. Ray, it's like put him with somebody that hits it in the fairway and all shot, right? Like the most accurate guy on the American squad should be paired up with Justin Thomas.
Yeah, and meanwhile, I said it should be Bryson DeChambeau.
Maybe the opposite, Russell Henley. Maybe that would
strictly the vibes. Strictly the vibes. No, you got to put the 2 best players in the world together, Scheffler and Henley. Okay, final one. Major championship season officially wrapped up last year. There is a rarity that occurred on the LPGA, though. Is that right?
Yeah, Miyu Yamashita, 15th in the Rolex ranking entering the week. So all 5 LPGA major winners this year were ranked 15th or lower in the Rolex rankings when they won. Kind of rare. First time that's ever happened in the 5 major LPGA era that goes back a little more than a decade. And it's only happened in the 4 major era, the last time it happened was 2009. So it's very rare for it to happen in the women's game. Got me thinking about the men's game. The last time we had 5 consecutive major winners, each ranked 15th or lower entering the week. The 86 PGA and then the 87 complete season. I was surprised. I was thinking maybe, that Darren Clark, Keegan Bradley stretch, or maybe, sometime in the early 90s, but you got to go all the way back to basically the 5th through the 9th majors we ever had with the official World Golf Ranking, which started in 1986, to find 5 consecutive major winners ranked 15th or lower, which is what we had over the course of the season in the women's game.
Just a weird season on the LPGA.
Multiple winners. It's crazy. We've still got more winners than events played because we had the team event. It's just been a really strange, year of parity, and maybe someone gets on a run here later in the year. They've still got some meaningful golf to come on the women's schedule, but yeah, such a strange year, like you said, Shane.
Yeah, need some Nelly major wins. Like, it's kind of becoming a thing, and it's just like I need her to get to 4 or 5 in her career. Because it was just so impressive early in the season, obviously last year as well. J. Ray, we always appreciate the time, my man. Have a great week. And I think you're probably starting to dive into some fantasy football research as well. We were talking about that earlier.
Oh yeah, I've got some mocks coming up. We're getting deep into it. I'm fired up to get going on fantasy football.
All righty, we are into the playoffs. FedEx St. Jude, TPC Southwind, par 70, 7,200 yards. Got to hit it straight. Ton of water in play at this golf course. Everybody playing for that top 50 position. We mentioned some of the names earlier in the show. Time now for a little can win, can't win, and our picks. You picked. Did you pick our boy last week, Patrick? Did you pick Cam Young?
Cam Young, of course, on the can win. I think that's now 12 weeks in a row for us. Correctly in the can win categories. Do not
People
go back.
Chirping us all the time in the comments. I mean, come on. The numbers speak for themselves, guys.
Yeah, don't go back and check that record. So shout out to Luke in the comments. Take a lap, pal. We hope you come back and listen. Hope you come back and listen.
Thanks for listening, by the way. Appreciate that. You want to kick us off with Cam Win?
Yeah, this is
hold on, before you do it, I want to say this right now. I'm gonna guess 2 of 3 names are the same with our picks. That's my guess.
I'm going to say 1 of 3. I'm going to say 1 of 3.
Okay, go ahead.
Shane, I'm seeing the board so clearly right now. I just went to the eye doctor. I'm reading the bottom line. I'm reading the bottom line. Easy peasy. They got both spoons over, and I'm still reading it. Can wins. Russell Henley, like the lock of the century, I think.
Wow.
Harris English can win, a winner at this golf course back in 2013. I know some kids weren't even alive during that who are listening to this. And then finally, I guess that means 12-year-olds are listening. Lucas Glover, he's back and he's going to win. Back for the first time since winning this tournament. Those are my 3 can win.
No overlap. I am shocked. None. No overlap on the picks after I predicted 2 of 3. I got Mr. Sam Burns. I've got Mr. Chris Kirk. Keep the momentum going.
Okay.
Played well last week. Gets into the top 7. You just keep going. Maybe he's on the Ryder Cup team. Maybe he goes full Keegan on everybody and wins a couple times in the playoffs. And I've continued to pick this guy, considering the game where it sits right now. Wyndham Clark as my 3rd and final pick. Do you like those or no?
You've been barking up the Wyndham Clark tree a lot lately.
Always.
And look, you got unlucky last week in that he just withdrew.
Yeah, it's tough.
He tees it up. He tees it up. He probably wins.
Yeah, we're not even talking Cam Young at this point. Exactly. What was this photo? Is this Lucas Glover just cooling off? Is he just cooling everything off?
Yeah, he was firing off some subtweets, I think. This is kind of the PG version of Robert Garrigus and his swamp ass from many moons ago. That's the all-timer.
Oh, by the way, Lucas Glover, truly one of the nicest guys in professional golf when you have a good conversation with him. Very, very, very nice fella. Who is not going to win? Since we said who's going to win, who's not winning this week? Who has no chance? Who might as well WD?
Yeah, someone should ask Rory for his flight number, see if they can catch that jet too. I don't know where he's off to.
What's the tail number? Where are you going? How much is fuel these days?
I've got Ludwig, I've got Hovland, and I've got Colin. Three big names. Zero
final one. The final name you said, we finally have overlap.
Okay.
I got Hideki not winning. It's just, again, he's playing terrible. I got Colin as well. not going to win. My last can't win. Scotty Scheffler not winning this week. Sorry, Scotty. You should have stayed home as well. Why are you playing? Home. Why are you playing here?
You know, no matter who wins this week, Scotty Scheffler will be number one going into the BMW Championship.
That's right. That's right. But your actual pick is who?
Actual pick is Russell Henley. I think he wins by 4.
Wow, Russell Henley by 4. I got Sam Burns is my official pick. Firmly slams the name down into the Ryder Cup discussion after this victory. Now we got to put somebody else that's a veteran in there. My sleeper, who I kind of really like at this number, he's like 80-1 or something, is Brian Harman. Give me a little B Harm right now. Also worth throwing in the Ryder Cup discussion. If he wins, we're going to have 50 Americans on this team. But my sleeper's Brian Harman. Who do you got?
You're going full Agent of Chaos.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
Anyone on the bubble is winning. Mav McNeely is going to win at Caves Valley for all we know. My sleeper is Lucas Glover. Guy's been hitting the cover off the golf ball the past month, and hopefully he has some better pants this year.
Just go dark. Like, just go with like a navy or a black pant when it's this hot, right? I mean, you can't – I mean, I know it's going to be warmer on the legs, but you're already going to be hot.
Man, that is – I forgot how bad it was. Do you remember who he beat in that playoff, Shane?
Lucas Glover, no. Who did he beat?
Our guy, PC, Patrick Cantlay.
Did he? Yeah. How was PC's pants looking?
They're tailored nicely. I have some apparel stories for Patrick Cantlay that we can take behind the scenes.
Okay. I like that. Well, those are our official picks. FedEx St. Jude week. We are into the playoffs. What's the plan for you watching playoffs? Do you get dialed in? Are you into it?
Yeah, dialed in. I have I make a lot of bets on the first hole, typically kind of like heads, tails for NFL. So like bogey or birdie, par for these guys. But yeah, I'll get dialed in. I'm pumped for I feel like the BMW, Shane's like always a great tournament.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So I'm pumped for that one next week.
Have you started doing like fantasy football research and stuff like that yet? I feel like we're kind of like a week away from all that beginning.
I think we should do a special pod for it because I need help desperately.
Okay. Do we bring somebody in? Like,
let's bring in. Don't you know, like Kevin Clark? Isn't he a big time big wig?
Yeah, we could bring him in and we could do a little football and we could do a little golf. Yeah, I'll reach out. I'm sure he'd love nothing more than to not get paid to come on a show for an hour talking football that he has to talk 51 weeks out of the year. But he does like golf, so we can maybe see. Maybe I'll dangle a free round at my club with that being the reason he comes on. But should be a good week. I know it's going to be hot, obviously, but I got a little golf plan this week coming off of KFT, so. A couple of qualifiers later this week.
How's the game?
See how that goes for the Met Open and stuff. So we'll see about that. And then I'm looking to dial in on the weekend and see how this goes. But I do like the playoffs. I do like top 50. I hope Spieth plays well. And we'll be back next week talking about the Sam Burns victory.